Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. This week, we're going to be talking about freestanding shelving units, and we appreciate all the emails we've gotten about our 10th home improvement ebook on Amazon. It's called Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know. And I'd like to thank Heather Tremko, the author of DIY Spa Retreat, for giving me a 5-star rating and review for my ebook, How to Pass the Section 8 Inspection. And you can get that on Amazon. And you can check out Heather's book on Amazon also. Some of the earliest freestanding shelving units you could order was in the late 1800s from the Sears and Roebuck catalog. In 1897, they had 7 styles. Some of them had adjustable shelves. One of them was solid oak, 5 foot tall, 32 inches wide, and it cost $4.35. And the ad said it comes with rods and rings to hold a curtain to keep dirt and dust out, because homes weren't that clean in the 1800s. In 1903, Sears came up with the money-back guarantee to encourage people to order from their catalog, and they hired translators, they said, who could read and write in all languages, to read the mail order forms and to give customer service. That's wild, huh?
Yes.
Freestanding shelving units are an easy way to organize your garage, a shed, laundry rooms, a pantry, or closets. You can get heavy-duty units for your garage, which will hold tools and totes, or small units to fit into a closet where you can organize your shoes and boots. I put a shelving unit in my laundry room to hold my cordless power tool chargers, the batteries, paint, drywall compound, and other stuff that wouldn't stand up to the temperature changes in my garage or a shed, since we're here in the Chicago area.
Uh-huh.
You're not,
Okay.
you're not impressed by that?
Not really.
So you might be impressed with this. In my kids' closets, what I did when they were young is I raised the closet pole up higher so I could put a shelving unit underneath that area for all their toys and games and things. And then as they got older, well, they wouldn't let me remove them. But my plan was when they got older, I could remove that shelving and then they could hang their clothes.
So I'm really not impressed.
So
plan was unsuccessful.
so that's a good idea. In the house I'm in now, I took the closet by the entry from the garage and turned it into a pantry with wall shelving. And I could have used one large freestanding unit or 2 smaller units on wheels, so it'd be
Are
easy.
we just going to go room by room in your house? And what you could have and should have done?
I've got some cool freestanding shelving stories. So if I would have put shelving units in the pantry on wheels, I could have pulled them out to clean around and behind them and under them. So that's an option to think about. Freestanding units on wheels.
Uh-huh.
There are decorative freestanding shelving units you can get for the kitchen or bathroom. For a bathroom, rather than changing your cabinets, they have toilet storage shelving units that sit on the floor, and the shelves start just over the toilet tank. And I saw a bunch of different styles on Wayfair.com. It's WAYFAIR.com, and Amazon.
You're not going to spell that?
AMAZON. When you're shopping for freestanding shelving units, compare the height, the width, and the depth for the area you're going to be putting it into, and think about all the items you'll be storing on it. A unit in your garage may be holding toolboxes, paint, sports equipment, coolers, or pet food. And if you're storing a lot of different things long term, should you be putting all these items in totes for better organization? So what size shelf and what distance between the shelves would work the best for all the totes you're going to be using? And you may want a couple different depths of shelving units if you have your units in different areas.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was shopping for that shelving unit I talked about in my laundry room, I wanted to make sure that it was narrow enough so I had a pathway to my laundry tub, and I just needed it big enough to hold my cordless chargers and my batteries. And I needed something with adjustable shelves because I wanted to make sure I could get to the outlet behind it.
Seems important.
Yeah, right. And then in my garage, I got 2 heavy-duty metal shelving units with wire shelves These are 18 inches deep to hold my tools and toolboxes and other large items. But in another area of my garage, I have a couple of wall shelves up high, and they're kind of narrow. So I got a very narrow shelving unit under it so that I would have a walkway by it, and it's easy to reach up to those upper shelves.
This is very, very exciting, Jason.
Another thing to think about when you're shopping for shelving is what type of shelving is it? So will open wire shelves work with what you're going to be putting on it? Or would it be better if you just have wood, plastic, or solid metal?
Well, because small items are hard on wire shelves.
Right, exactly. And if you store paint, stains, and other liquids, or if you're throwing wet items on your shelves, you wouldn't want particle board or plywood. Compare the weight limits of the shelves and the overall capacity. At one home center I went to, they have 2 steel shelving units with 4 shelves each, and they were both priced right at around $45, and both have particle board shelves that are adjustable. The posts are 90-degree angle iron. One had small tabs that the shelves connected to, and it had a rating of 450 pounds per shelf.
Huh.
The other one has posts with slots that the shelves fit into, and it has an 800-pound per rating per shelf. So both look very similar, but a big difference in what you can load onto them.
Fascinating.
One of the Husky welded steel shelving units I looked at has a 1,500-pound per shelf rating and a total weight capacity of 6,000 pounds.
That seems crazy.
Yeah, amazing.
Are you in the market for a new shelving unit?
No, I'm pretty set. Yeah, they should last me a lifetime, the ones I have. When you're loading your shelves, you want to think about how you're laying out all your items because you want to evenly distribute the load on every shelf, and you want to make sure that you're loading up your heavier items on the lower shelves. You don't want your shelving unit to be top heavy.
Right.
You don't think about how heavy some things are. Like a gallon of paint weighs around 12 pounds. A 5-gallon bucket of paint is around 56 pounds, and a 4.5 bucket of drywall compound, depending on the type you get, can range anywhere from 50 to 60 pounds per bucket. So if you've got a bunch of this stacked up on your shelving unit, you're adding up a lot of weight. In the home centers around us, they had steel with wire shelves.
I don't really understand why you would have wired shelves.
Well, I love them in my garage. It's just, everything I put on, it's pretty big. In one section, I actually cut a piece of drywall, like for a bunch of small items. But other than that one area, it holds things very well. It's open, nothing collects on it.
Well, they still get dirty.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really hold the dirt, like especially that area where I have one area where I have wood wall shelves, and they get very dirty. They really hold the dust. But the wire shelves, everything kind of goes through it. The floor is pretty dirty, but the shelves are not bad. But they had, the home centers around us, a lot of the steel was very popular, a small amount of wood shelving and plastic shelving. And plastic is great for sheds and garages, laundry rooms. If you have a lot of moisture or humidity or wet floors, or if you have a garage, like in the Midwest here or up north where you're pulling in your car and snow's melting off it and getting on the metal, right. It could cause corrosion. Or if you're storing a lot of chemicals and it's, if you have any leaks or if anything's dripping on it. So plastic's nice because it's lightweight, it's easy to assemble, but you should check the weight limits for plastic. One unit I saw had a weight limit of 60 pounds per shelf, and another one just next to it looked very similar. It could support 200 pounds per shelf. And for a garage...
That's a big difference.
Yeah, amazing. And they were about the same price, and they looked very similar, had the same amount of shelves.
Mm-hmm.
For a garage or utility room where the floor isn't level, you should look for shelving with adjustable feet. Otherwise, you're going to have to shim them.
Right.
Can I go back to my laundry room?
All right.
So the floor is sloped toward a floor drain, and I used plastic shims under the front legs to level the unit. That way it's going to distribute the weight properly. And those plastic shims will stand up to any water that gets on the floor. If you have metal shelving units and it's going to be somewhere where it could be wet, like in a laundry room or a garage or on concrete, you can set your metal shelves on top of plastic or rubber cups.
Right.
And that's going to help prevent corrosion.
You should probably explain what you mean by a rubber cup.
In the hardware store, you'll see rubber cups. It's what you put under furniture, so it's going to be a circular or a square piece of plastic or rubber. and that distributes the weight underneath like chair legs or table legs, and it works great for metal shelving.
So this would be by like the felt pads.
Right. When you're comparing metal shelving units, stainless steel is going to be very corrosion resistant. Epoxy-coated wire shelving is resistant to moisture. Chrome-plated and zinc-coated shelves are less resistant to moisture. These are better for dry areas. Polypropylene or polymer shelving is going to be corrosion resistant, and powder coat shelving is very durable. So powder coat is pigments and resins that are sprayed onto a surface while it's electrically charged, and then they bake the finish. So it's really tough.
Are you excited about this?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Many of the shelving units I looked at had particle board shelves, which is low-density fiberboard, or it might be called chipboard. It's an engineered wood. They take wood chips, sawdust, and resins, and then they'll add chemicals to either make it water-resistant, fire-resistant, or insect-resistant, depending on the formula. They press this into sheets to form the boards. The problem with particle board is it can swell and get damaged by liquids, and to clean it, you have to just use a dry cloth, or you can use a slightly damp cloth, but you need to be careful with moisture on most of these particle boards. And check the weight limits. It's important on this type of material to spread the weight evenly. A couple of the shelving units I looked at had wire shelves that could be turned upside down to hold a wood shelf in place. So that's a nice option. When you're comparing shelves with wheels or casters, look at the weight ratings with and without the wheels. One shelving unit I looked at had an overall weight limit of 500 pounds total with the wheels. When you took the wheels off and replaced them with feet and leveled it, it's rated at 3,000 pounds.
Wow.
Crazy, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to Seville Classics about their wire shelving units, and Seville is Seville. They have a very unique system, so their units only have 4 parts. They have poles, shelves, tapered sleeves, and the bottom is either a foot or a caster, and you don't need any tools to assemble it. The poles have grooves in 1-inch increments, so you can adjust the height of their shelves, and you attach these tapered plastic sleeves to the height you want on the poles, and then you just drop the shelf over the 4 poles. Each shelf has a round tapered opening at each corner, and when you slide this over the plastic sleeves, it all locks in place. So very easy to assemble and take apart or adjust your shelf spacing.
Cool.
They have poles in different diameters depending on the weight limits. Their standard pole is 1-inch diameter, and it supports 800 pounds per shelf, and they have shelves ranging from 36 to 60 inches wide. They have corner shelving units, and they have units with plastic bins designed for the shelves. So
That's cool.
It's great to organize your tools and parts. And you can check them out at SevilleClassics.com. If you see NSF certified, it stands for the National Sanitation Foundation. It's an accredited third-party certification that it meets the public health and safety standards.
Okay.
So it's a good thing. If you have kids that might climb up on shelving or older people who might lose their balance and grab onto your shelving, you should make sure it's leveled and secured to a stud. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission studied emergency room visits, and they estimate around 15,000 people a year go to an emergency room for injuries because of furniture tipping over on them. The CPSC said a study from 2000 to 2011 said falling furniture and appliances caused the death of 363 people, and 82% of them were children under 8 years old.
Wow.
And most injuries were from TVs falling onto the children. They said even though the new flat-screen TVs aren't as heavy as old TVs, they're still heavy for kids and the edges are dangerous. Many of the TV stands aren't stable enough to hold a child if they climb up onto it. And any cabinets with doors make it much easier for a kid to pull the cabinet over. Many of the accidents were caused by kids also just grabbing or pulling on power cords or cables, and then the TV and the stand would fall over on them.
Right.
For your shelving units, you can use anti-tip furniture anchors and then screw that into studs. That way it's not going to move. You can also use metal hanger strap in garages or sheds, or cable or pipe clamps. And make sure you're going into a stud by using a stud finder to find the wood or metal studs behind your drywall.
Right.
Some top-rated companies with freestanding shelving units are Seville, it's Seville, Edsel, Edsal, Gladiator, Storage Concepts, Whitmore, Whitmor, Husky, Husky, DeWalt, DeWalt, Keter, Keter, and Commander. And actually, Amazon Basics got a lot of good reviews.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add?
When you're shopping for freestanding shelving units, compare the height, the width, and the length, the load capacity of the shelves, and then the overall load rating. Compare the material for where it's going to be used. Wire shelves are probably the most versatile, but plastic might be better for your use if you're dealing with high moisture or chemicals. The number of shelves, the shelf spacing, are tools required? Many of the shelving units I looked at don't require any tools. And then, are the feet adjustable, and are wheels an option?
Okay, let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, CastBox, or your favorite podcast app.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our home improvement videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our ebooks, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, books 1 through 10, and soon, book 11. And you can download those on Amazon.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at FixItPodcast. You can follow Cindy on Twitter at FixItCohost. And you can follow us on Instagram, Fix It Home Improvement.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.